Yo, what's up, guys? So, today we're going to talk about logistical escalation for the third time. I had to film this fucking 3 times today, but it's okay because practice makes perfect. So, we're just executing until we get it right. Very fun, but you got to do it if you want good results. And, we're committed to our own results for you guys, and that's why we're committed to actually doing this. And so, we're going to do it as many times as we need to, just like you, if you want good results, will approach as many times as you need to and get the feedback in order to get those results. So that's actually kind of a funny lesson to like take away from kind of how weird today was with our recording schedule. But you know, today with logistical escalation, we want to talk about planting seeds and becoming a problem solver. So this does a couple things. Planting seeds is really just throwing something out there and letting it grow so that it's more natural when it happens later. And logistical escalation is completely different from verbal and physical escalation in the sense that you need to, you can think about it completely separately. They don't really play together very much. Logistical escalation is purely about how simple and how easy and how natural it would feel for you to, go home with that girl at the end of the night. And really, what you want to pay attention to is, really think about it like, honestly, you can kind of think about it like a package at like UPS, right? It's like every time someone drops it, every time someone puts it on the wrong truck, every time someone doesn't plan something out, that package is a little bit later and a little bit more damaged. And so if it gets to you and it's completely fucked up and it's like 3 weeks late, it's like you're going to get a refund, right? You're going to ask for a refund. But if it gets there on time, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be really happy. So it's kind of a similar thing where the smoother the interaction goes logistically, in terms of moving from place to place and things like that, the smoother that kind of stuff happens, the better off you're going to be and the more likely you're going to be in bed with her at the end of the night. And so that's planting seeds. And then becoming a problem solver is really just being able to solve problems as they come up in a very confident way and just proactively dealing with issues that could come up as they come up, instead of waiting for things to happen and kind of letting things fuck up your night. You actually go out and make sure that those things don't fuck up your night.
Yeah, basically what we're going to be talking about here is like this stuff makes it easy for her to go home with you. Because at the end of the night, if you've done some of the things that we're going to talk about, like planting seeds or just like, figuring out where her friends are at, or if your place is clean enough, or if your place is like fun enough, or like if you have an excuse to actually go back to your place, if you have that stuff going on, it just makes it easy for you to carry on that interaction. So that's basically what this video is going to be about.
Yeah, and so when we talk about planting seeds, the most important seed to plant is seeding the pole. And so this is one thing that's really powerful. And when you're talking to a girl, we'll just talk really quickly about seeding the pole. Then we'll talk about being a problem solver. And then we'll talk about the types of information that you should really pay attention to when you are kind of trying to become this problem solver. Because in order to solve problems, you have to understand the interaction, kind of what's going on, all the information involved. And so we're going to talk about the types of information to be looking out for. And really, when you're seeding the pole, this makes it really natural and smooth for her to come home with you at the end of the night, or to go on an instant date with you during the day, or to come home with you after an instant date, right? It makes it really natural for you guys to hang out and make it like it just happened. And ultimately, that's what girls want. They want it to just happen, because no matter how bad they want to have sex with you, if they feel like they're going to be judged, or they feel like they're doing something that isn't core to their identity, that they're not going to do it. They're not going to have sex with you if it goes against their identity. So if they have this identity of like, I'm this really innocent girl, then they'll go home with you, but only if it makes a lot of sense. Only if it makes a ton of sense and they have a lot of reasons why it made sense. And so that's where seeding the pole comes in. And so when you're, there's kind of two types of seeding. The first is seeding the pole, and that's what we're talking about with, hey, what kind of movies do you like? Asking her what kinds of things she's interested in, and saying that maybe in the future you guys could do that together, and talking about future plans potentially. And really just being like, hey, I have this thing. It's actually really fun. And just leaving it at that to start. And then you move on. And we'll kind of get into, when we get to the call to action, like what that actually looks like. But wanted to pass this to you. Like, what do you kind of have to say about seating the poll?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what you're doing is you're setting up this like interaction where at the end of it, it's just like it feels natural for her to go home with you. So, an example would be, you bringing up like what kind of movies both of you like, and then maybe mentioning at some point like, oh really, yeah, I should show you that movie sometime. You've never seen it, or oh yeah, you've never seen that bar before. So that like later on you're just like seeding these or you're planting these seeds and then later on, like when those seeds start to grow a little bit, like in her mind, it's like, oh, you can like reference back to what you said and be like, hey, remember that thing we talked about? Yeah, let's go do this. And it's like, oh yeah, we did talk about that. So with the movie example, if you're comparing what movies you like and you want to show her a movie, it's like, okay, well that's what you're going to do at night. You're going to go back and see a movie together. So it's just setting up a really easy way for you guys to continue the interaction so she can feel good about it.
And the second type of seating, we don't even really have this in our notes, but I talked about it in the second time we recorded it, was seating that it's actually okay and getting little yeses from her to move around with you. So obviously to seed the pull, that is talking about moving with her at some point in the night, but you're not actually doing it. And so you want to seed the pull, but you also need to seed, kind of show her a little bit about what it would look like if you guys did go home together or move around together. And so getting her used to actually moving with you and realizing that she's going to be safe if she does that. Mm-hmm. And so just like one example is that blonde girl I pulled recently. We were talking at the bar. I said, do you want to go outside? It's kind of loud. Then we went and I proactively met her friends, and we'll talk about proactivity and becoming the problem solver, but I became the problem solver right away. I became that proactive decision maker right away with her friends. And then we went outside, we came back, then we went outside again, then we came back inside, we went to the dance floor, we went back to the table, then we went to the bar, then we went back to the dance floor, and we moved around like 10, 15 times inside of one night. And that showed her that, hey, by the way, we've moved to a bunch of different locations. We're actually okay to move around together. And sometimes we were going alone, sometimes we were going with her friends. So she had the approval of her friends as well. And so it's like, we're doing all these things and everything's fine. Everything's going really smoothly. It's going great. And so why wouldn't it be fine if we left together and got food, right? And that, when I combined it with seeding the pull, made it really clean to where she was like, I was like, yeah, maybe we get food after. And she was like, yeah, sure. It literally wasn't even thinking about it. She was like, yeah, sure. I have to tell my friends. She wasn't even asking her friends. She's like, yeah, sure. I'm going to tell my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, really what you're doing is you're letting her know like, okay, we can go to different places together. And, oh, we have some things that we can do together later. You're just like, you're showing her that. And, we have to also give a shout out to Max from The Natural, because I wanted to remember to talk about this, the fuck faith frame, which is this frame from this guy that we followed, Max, who, it's basically this mindset where at the end of the night, that, or not at the end of the night, at some point that sex is going to happen. It might be the end of the night. It might be like, a day from now. It might be a week from now. You just know that if you're putting yourself in situations like this consistently and talking to girls consistently, then you're going to have sex at some point, and you don't necessarily need to have sex right now. I feel like this is a really important mindset because it really sets guys apart from, the guys who are too timid to do anything, like to make a move, and also the guys who are way too forward. Because when you have this mindset of, okay, well, I'm going to have sex at some point, then you're not afraid to make a move when you actually see that the girl's really, really into you and she's ready for that. But also, you don't need it at this very moment. So you're patient and, alpha enough to like actually just kind of sit with yourself and just be confident that sex is going to happen at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that makes it really easy to work on logistical escalation, especially because sex is going to happen eventually. So, one of my mentors, he actually told me that, he would go home with girls and they would, like, you'd try to kiss them and he would be like, and they'd be like, what the fuck? I thought you were gay. And the reason that happened, he was able to get in a bed alone with these girls, is because he was so good at logistical escalation. And logistical escalation is actually really good for making friends. But it's independent of verbal and physical escalation, and it's independent of the entire interaction structure of, you know, the open to getting her, you know, getting her attention, establishing that assertion about her, and building that bubble. It's independent of that. You can logistically escalate with anybody, and that's actually how you just make friends. And so logistical escalation is huge to practice because you can do these little seeds, you can lead people around and become that decision maker. And once you become that decision maker, here's the best way is just proactively doing things. Proactively, you know at some point, you're talking to a girl at the bar, you know at some point you're gonna have to talk to her friends. So proactively meeting her friends. You know you're gonna have to move around the venue. Proactively moving around the venue. Proactively choosing where to eat when you're pulling. Proactively taking the girl, if you meet her during the day, on an instant date. Like, let's grab a coffee. Let's sit on this bench. Okay, I escalated once. Okay, let's go grab a coffee. Okay, I escalated twice. Oh, this pizza place is closed. Let's go there. All right, cool. Well, let's watch that movie I was talking about. You moved around like 4 times, and she was okay with it because you took small steps and you were proactive about it. And really just this mindset of jumping headfirst into weird situations to show her that you're okay with it, that sets a frame of I'm okay doing something a little crazy. And this is good for verbal escalation as well, and we talk about that, so I'd check that out. But it's really important to make sure that you're focusing on, you know, how you can proactively handle situations before they even occur. And that happens a lot with experience. You can learn that. And really, you want to focus on that first.
You can actually do this stuff. It's actually very easy to remember to do this stuff, and it puts you in the moment. It like takes you out of your head to focus on, like, okay, you're walking up to a girl and you're kind of just curious about, you know, like who she's here. Maybe you say one thing to her and then you're like, so who are you here with anyways? Like, you know, you find out who she's here with, how far away she lives, you know, just not in a weird way, but like in a casual way, just like finding out like how close to the bar that she lives, and you know, talking about like how far away you are from the bar, talking about fun things that you have back at your place. You're basically setting up the perfect environment for you to go out to the bar, meet a girl, and swiftly and smoothly come back home with you. And this is not only good for you, obviously, but it's good for her too, because a girl doesn't want to have like some guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing out there. Like like he goes out and meets a girl and then he's just like, so where do we go? I don't know any bars around here that we could bounce to. My place is a mess. My place is really far away, and I don't have like Uber on my phone or whatever, you know.
Yeah, dude. Before this weekend, one of the smoother pulls I've done recently, like in the last couple months, I've actually done this a few times, but when it's time to get the Uber, when it's just like close to the end of the night, it's like 1 a.m. and bars close here around like, well, they do last call around 1, and then they close by 1:30. They kick everyone out. And so one of the things that I do sometimes, it's like it's so assumed that I'm going home with the girl. I'll literally be like, hey, what's your address? Like, and I'll just have my Uber app pulled up. I'll make sure it's obvious to where she sees it, and I just have Uber pulled up, and I'm like, hey, what's your address? And she just like looks, and she's like, oh, here's the address. And I just go, all right, cool. And like it's the Uber's already in. It's like, all right, cool, our Uber's gonna be here in 10 minutes. Like, and by her not having to say, yes, I want to come home with you, like I don't ask her. I'm like, hey, what's your address? We're going. She's just saying yes by giving me her address. She doesn't have to directly say, hey, I'm being a little slutty right now, or hey, I'm being a little promiscuous right now by telling you I want to go home with you. It's really cool that you just assumed that, and girls really like that. Mm-hmm. And so that is a really powerful thing, just assuming and proactively doing things in the moment that, you know, it will make sense for you guys to do that together, to go home together, to go to that restaurant together.
Yeah, just really quick. Girls want to feel like it just happened. That's why it's so important to lead. You know, like a girl's not just going to be like, hey, I want to have sex, because then, I mean, she's going to think like, oh no, he's going to think I'm a slut. Everybody around, or my friends are going to think I'm a slut. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to lead, because then it's not like her responsibility. It's like your responsibility. You're like carrying on the night as the leader. So she feels like it's kind of, you know, it's just happening. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what you want, or that's what she wants it to feel like it just happened. And it's like this thing, it's spontaneous, and you're leading, and it's nice and smooth.
Yeah. And we'll get into this in the we'll get into this in the kind of what it's like for a hot girl video, but it's like the hot girl's experience is she's used to guys like waiting around and letting her make decisions, and she doesn't want to feel like she is the one making the decisions. She doesn't want to do anything that implies anything about her. If there's one thing that people don't want to do is, I mean, the number one reason people don't join the program is because like getting good with women is not a part of their identity, and they are not ready to make a change that is consistent with people in general in human psychology. It's that people don't want to act inconsistently with their identity. Like I just talked to a guy on the phone that said he really needed in-person coaching because that's just the type of person he is. And right then I knew he wasn't going to join the program, because if you're the type of person that doesn't talk to girls or needs someone in person there to help you or needs something specific, then you're never going to make a change. And so, you know, girls are the same way. If they're the type of person that doesn't want to make decisions and isn't slutty and isn't, you know, crazy, fun, adventurous, you know, if you can't get that identity level change, they're not going to do anything that implies that about their identity. They're not going to do anything inconsistent with their identity of how they see themselves. And so you have to make it really smooth for them to be like, yeah, this is normal. This is something that I would do normally under any circumstances, not just with you. And that's not like, you know, some guys might feel weird about that. Like, but it was my good game. It's like, who cares, dude? It's about having that experience with the girl. And so our call to action for this video is going to be to go out and really focus on logistical escalation and how you can get small yeses logistically from girls and just people in general. Like, hey, let's move over here. Hey, let's go get a drink. Hey, let's do this and that. You can get small yeses, and then once you get a couple girls that hook, you know, get to that assertion phase where she's at least a little interested, start seeding the pull and see how that works, and start subtly talking about, oh, you know, if you have something particularly cool about your place, it's like, oh, do you like rooftops? Like, I'm thinking of Deep right now. He has a rooftop, and it's like, do you like skyline views or whatever? Anyway, yeah, there's this like beautiful view I know of. Like at some point, maybe if you're nice, we'll check it out. Anyway, and then you move on. Get good at seeding things. You know, I know you use the like, I have a basketball court in my bedroom or whatever. I just have like, you know, I have my cat, and it's like someday maybe you can meet my cat. Someday maybe you can meet Cleo. Someday maybe, you know, we can watch that movie. And really it can be anything. It just has to be any sort of reason. I know we've both actually, I think in this video, said excuse. Excuse is like, I don't necessarily like it as much as like a good reason, because like the excuse implies you're like getting away with something, right? And the girl might feel like she's getting away with something because she probably does. She probably is like, oh, thank God this guy gave me a reason to tell my friends that I'm going to go home and fuck this guy because she doesn't want to admit that. But, you know, you really want to give her a very good reason to actually move around with you and go home with you to where she feels safe and like she wants to do that.
Yeah, like with Dallas, like a few months ago, she probably told all her friends that she went on a picnic, even though we did like a lot more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, so I mean, with these calls to action, this is easy stuff. Like just go out to the bar, get a lay of the land. When you're talking to a girl, find out like who she's here with, find out, you know, if there's a bar nearby, like before you go into the bar that you're going into, that you can bounce to, get a lay of the land, get as much information as possible just about the situation, just so you know what you're doing. So yeah, this is pretty easy stuff, the call to action in this video. So basically, just go out to the bar. When you start talking to a girl, find out information, get a lay of the land, you know, find out what bar next to this bar that you're in is a good place to bounce to, find out about the area, you know, find out about different places that you can go, and start to hint those things when they come up in conversation with the girl. Like, oh, yeah, I heard that bar next door was pretty cool. I actually went there once before. Maybe I can show you a little bit later. Or, you know, if you get a little bit further in the interaction, if like movie topics come up, talk about what a good movie is and talk about the movie that you want to show her sometime. And then sometime might come sooner than you expect.